Right guys, I'm going to make a start on this. I just want to build a little bit of hills up here. And as you can see, I've had a little bit of damage here. There's a crack down there, so I plan to go over that with a new substance I found. Now what have I done with it? Right, this is what I found. This is called foam clay. It's only a little trial pack I found. It is extremely light and apparently it hardens up a little bit like clay. I've never used it before. I'm going to give it a try. I thought I'll try it on this. We'll see how it looks. But before I actually put that on, I want to seal this. So what I'm going to actually use is a bit of just watered down PVA to a milk consistency. Right, so I've just mixed up a bit of PVA, watered down. All I'm going to do, pick some of that up, and we're just going to put that, I'm going to get it in the crack. Make sure that goes in. Well, let's get a brush. Let's get a brush. Right, so what we're going to do now is we've just covered all this in some very thin down PVA. I'm going to let that dry, that'll harden and it'll make like a seal. So then I can put anything else on top of it. Hopefully I can just put this foam clay straight over the top. We'll see how it sets, see how it feels. Got no idea what it's going to be like, but we'll give it a try. So we'll come back in a bit when this is all dried. Right guys, while I was waiting for the glue to dry on the scenery before I can actually do my foam clay, I've decided I'll just do a little bit of ballasting. As you can see, I've done this area. All this actually is I believe it's a cork ballast, and it's by Green Team. There you go. All I've actually done is I've put some in a tub, and I've just got a little tiny measuring spoon. That's what I'm going to use to sprinkle it on. So the first thing I've got to do is I need to try and remove a little bit of that white coating off the wire. We'll zoom in and we can have to take a better look. Right, there we go. So all I'm going to actually try and do is just pare a little bit of this white off the wire. A little bit better. So the first thing I'm going to do is, you've probably seen this many times before, but we're going to put the ballast in. Just like that. Put it on the outsides as well. So literally just tapping it in, and we'll form a shoulder. I'm not worried about it being neat at this point. Quite a hollow there, so we'll just fill that in. Just like that. And do the outside here as well. Right. Now the trick to this is a very soft, gentle brush. So I'm literally just gonna work it in like that. just so you can see the top of the rails. Do the same on the outside. Then we can just brush this in. Now you can still just see the white bits of the wire, but I'm not worried about that because that'll get covered up when I start painting the side of my rail. Right, all I'm going to do now is just tap the rails a little bit. Gentle tap. With this being cork, it's very, very light. If I was actually using granite, I would probably just use the back of a teaspoon. That's what everybody else seems to do. Now, there's people that absolutely hate ballasting. I don't mind it. It's quite therapeutic, to be fair. In case of trying to get it off, get your sleepers, tops as neat as you can, really. Don't worry too much about the ballast being on your sleepers. When it's all dried, you can actually knock it off anyway. But for now, we just want to make sure we can see those sleeper tops, and we just keep doing this till we're happy with it. So right, we're quite happy with that. Right, next thing to do, you need to mist it. You need to mist it, you need to make that wet. If that's wet, then the glue will actually soak into the water. So it's all about consistency. Me, I've just got a little mister. Like that. Let me pull you out a bit and then you can have a proper look. Very, very tiny mister. I think I got this off Squires. Just comes out. It's only tiny. So what am I going to put in there? I'm going to put in some water, just with a dash of washing up liquid. I know some people actually just use IPA. Of course, that helps as well with the water. The idea is you're trying to reduce the water tension. By reducing the water tension, we're wanting it to soak in. Right, this is a very, very fine mist now. So we're just going to mist over it really. So it's raining. Just so that we're not dislodging much. As it gets wetter, you can point it down a little bit more. There you go, you can see it changing colour a little bit now. There we go. So that's nice and wet. Next thing I'm going to do is, like I've shown you before. Right, I've actually got it just like that. I might actually put a bit more water in there. Like I said, I like it very, very runny. Oh, that's better. You can actually see on a clear cup how it runs. Right, so we've done that. What I'm going to do is get my pipette and I'm literally just going to fill it up. Go along there. What you should see is that liquid should start dispersing, and some of it may even come out the sides of the track. What I like to do is I'm just going to go over it again. It's very warm today, so I'm just going to give it another misting, just like that. You'll find if you do this on a warm day, it dries very, very quickly. On a cold day, it might take quite a while to dry. You know, some people say leave it 24 hours, some people say leave it 48 hours. The trick is, don't touch it, so you'll never get it right again. It all sort of goes clumpy. If I touch that now, it'll clump up and I'll never get it right again. there's any problems, you don't worry about it, come back to it when it's dry. We can always chip it out and just start again if we have to. There's plenty of liquid on there. And that's it. Right, I'm going to give that a last. Just a quick mist over again. Keep it nice and wet. Right, and that's it. So all I'm going to do now is we'll let that dry. I'll take you in a bit closer so you can have a look. There you go, that's what it looks like. So we're just going to let that dry now. And then when that's dry, we'll come back to it and we'll see what we're going to do next to it. So we'll leave that there for now. Right then, as you can see guys, my ballast is actually dried now. That is absolutely solid. And I'll show you what I've done on the other side. And as you can see, this side is a lot darker. It's got a bit of tone to it. All I've actually used, this is Citadel Agrex Earthshade. And it's just toned it down a bit. This ballast is never going to actually match with the other ballasts on the other track. The other tracks, I don't know what was used to actually weather the other track. I'm not actually keen on the rusting on the track, so that will be addressed and that will blend it all together when I get to that stage. So all I'm going to do now on this side is I'll probably add a little bit of Citadel Noon Oil, just a tiny touch. Just to get a few variant shade in it. I'm going to finish off that end as well, and I'm going to leave it there for the time being. The next stage after that, I will actually start weathering the sides of the track. But if I was going to do a lot of ballast, I wouldn't even consider the Citadel range. I'll be mixing my own wash, and I will show you that in a later episode when I actually get onto the proper ballasting onto the Heritage line. But for now, this is a start and this is how I've actually done it, and it's starting to actually take shape a little bit now. So we'll leave it there for now. Right guys, I'm going to take a look at this foam clay. We're going to have a bit of a closer look. First thing I've noticed is how light it is. So to give you an idea, this is just a Graham Farish Mark 1 coach. Probably felt them before, know how light they are. So we'll put that on. That currently reading 26 grams. So we'll take that off. This is just a sample pack I've bought. So let's take one out. We'll measure it up and then I'll give you an idea of what it weighs. So it's only a small sample pack because I don't know if I'm going to use this stuff or not. So what we're looking at, we're probably looking about 6 centimetres, about 5, maybe about, I don't know, 1.5 centimetres thick. So we'll start with small package, we'll put it on, 10 grams. That is all that weighs. This is one of the things that's actually encouraged me to have a little look at this. It's an air clay, so I suppose it can be used like clay, but I don't think it feels like clay. It certainly hasn't got the weight. So what we're going to do first is we're going to see how it feels, how it looks, and take it from there. Right, so we'll take it out of the packet. Let's see how it feels. Move the scales, put them over here somewhere. Right then, so this is the packet. Oh, it feels weird. Let's open it up. Right, how can I explain it? It's squishy, very light. I suppose it feels a little bit like chewing gum. Because that's one way. It's got a sticky touch to it. I think if you use a little bit of water on the surface of it, you'd probably be able to mould it a little bit more. Right, does it cut? Right, simple knife. It sort of slices but tears a little bit. Let's see what else we can do with it. Right. Let's just roll that out again. Yeah, you see how it's even sticking to the greaseproof paper. That's interesting. But it's a little bit more workable. I think I think it's a bit more workable. I think it's a case of you can sort of carve it and mould it and, well, carve it and cut it a bit when it's sort of dried out a little bit. So I think what we're going to do is let's just make a square. Out like that. Right, I'm going to let that dry. Right then, if you can imagine, this is the edge of my baseboard, and that's where it finishes at the end. I've obviously got a piece of wood coming up here, so I've been left a gap. So what I've actually done is I've literally just glued on a strip of card down that gap. So as you can imagine, there's no real support under there or anything. So I just want something thin and light. Now, yeah, I could use a bit of plaster or polyfiller. Could use it thin. I find if you go too thin, it might get cracks in it. It might not be substantial. This looks promising. It looks like it's going to hold together. So I'm going to give this stuff a go. Plus, it's really, really light. So we're going to give this a bash, and we're going to see how we progress with it. So we'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll see how this is. In fact, I'll do a couple more pieces just to experiment with. Right guys, this is a little sample. Very flexible. What I would say about 3mm thick, that is. Cuts okay. Now the only way I can describe this is it feels like one of those polystyrene packing peanuts, you know, when they're actually squished and very compact. That's what it feels like, and it's probably about the same weight as that as well. So it cuts alright, it's very flexible. Let's see if it takes paint. So I'm just going to use some of this, just standard acrylic, cheap stuff, pick it up for £1. So we're going to try a little bit in. Now I'm just going to give it a good shake. Right. I'm going to add a few drops into this, just to make it a little bit thinner. There we go, so it's not all globby and gloopy. It's okay, quite thin. Let's try a bit on this and see if it takes paint. It's not too bad actually. Not bad at all. Just going to try a tiny bit neat. So, I mean, I would never dream of painting it neat. That's actually looking alright. Right, we're going to dry this off now and we shall see what it looks like when it's dry. And we've painted it up. That was the thinned down version. Doesn't actually look too bad. Looks like that'll take paint okay. That was a thicker paint, still a little bit wet in areas, but again, not too bad. That's what I wanted to know. Would it take paint? Would it just repel it? And a wash down version. So yeah, that's looking good. So that's looking promising. So we'll take it over to Swade's pond now and we'll show you what it looks like on there. Right, I'm going handheld now, so I'm going to be a bit wobbly. But what I've noticed is this was all smooth. You can see where I've actually got shrinkage, so that's not very good. Again, you can see a little bit of shrinkage on the top, but essentially it's done what I've needed it to do. That's a very little bit of area I needed to cover, so it swings around about really. Not totally impressed, but it's a start. Now then, let's have a look here. Now that's a pothole I filled. Now that I am impressed with. I'll move this bottle here. Again, you can see I filled some potholes here and here. Bear in mind that's what it originally looked like. And that's what it looks like now. And I think I can smooth that off very gently. You can see I've still got some pothole all the way down here to do. So there's still bits and pieces. Another big spot there. Because this was originally some form of rubberized cobblestone. So I need to address that. That's obviously a very big part there. So I'm going to start filling some of these small cobblestones. I'm impressed with the way it's worked on there. When that's painted grey, I think that's going to look smashing. But not so impressed where it's got the shrinkage here. So I might have to have a rethink there. That looks horrible, that crack. Whether I can go over it with a little bit more, whether I can fill it with a bit of wood glue maybe, I'm not so sure. Or maybe just some filler. I honestly don't know, so I'm going to have a look at that. Well, that's what I've done, and I did it up to the wood there. So I'm not overly impressed with that. I think it's one of those things whereby, you know, it's using the right tool for the right job at the end of the day. This was something new, never tried it before, so I just thought I'd give it a go. See what you guys think as well. So I'm going to crack on now. I'm going to get some more of these potholes done. Right guys, as you can see I've painted the brown. I got a little bit carried away, you could say. You see I've done all the way around there. Base of the engine shed's done. Try and pan you around slowly. Got that painted brown as well. What I've done between the tracks, very thin coat brown, but I've painted in between all the tracks as well. So as you can see I got a little bit carried away there. Right, what I've done here, just here, I've done a slightly different technique. What I've actually used is toilet paper, and it's just thin PVA glue, just in toilet paper, soaked in, squished down, left to dry and painted. So we'll just show you quickly what I mean. Right then, so I've actually just done what I've said I'm going to do. That's a toilet paper, very thin down PVA, just squished in. When that's dry, just like this bit here, I'll just be able to paint over it. So we'll see how that goes for now. Right guys, I've done a little bit more work on this now. As you can see I've put some very fine dark gravel in here, just to give it a bit of variety. That bit that we did yesterday, it's still drying, but once that's done, that'll get painted brown. And the other big changes I actually made is, if you look here, I'll just move you around. These patches here that were white are now grey. And all I've actually used for that, it's Tamiya X19 Smoke. It's an opaque paint As you can see, it's giving me some various different shades of grey. Looks very tarmacy. All that I need to do now is I'll probably give it a whole wash across just to tie in all the different greys. But before I do that, I want that to paint brown. I've got a few little screw points to actually grind out, so that whole backboard is flat. And we're going to start on the back seam. So I'll get that flat. We're going to give it a coat of emulsion, sand it down, emulsion maybe again, sand it back down so it's lovely and smooth. And then we're going to stick on the back seam, and that'll really make it start coming to life. So that's what I intend to do next. So I'm going to crack on with that then, guys.